Hello, everyone. Timothy from Hong Kong greeting.
Hi, Timothy.
Hi, long time no see.
Yeah, too long.
Yeah, too many years.
Yeah.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Chris and everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Jonah.
But never leave the streets.
We have a nice group of people coming in now.
They're all nice, Chris. Everybody's nice.
It's the group that's nice.
Quite aware of what they're going through.
That's great. Hi, Kurt. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you.
Andrea, we good to go?
Yeah, I'm just writing to Florian.
You're just writing your book.
Here we go. Are we ready to go, do you think?
I think so. Thank you.
Yeah, if everyone can keep on mute until they're speaking, that would be wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Are you continuing to let people in, Florian? Thank you. Great. Thank you. So, hello, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, we started the Elders Council. Florian, Mel, Chris, and I founded the Elders Council. But on this call, we have many elders with, imagine the collective wisdom in this on this Zoom call today. And of course, what we do in the Elders Council is to make that wisdom available both to support each other and also to give information or wisdom or whatever we have to others who are social entrepreneurs. So we know that transition, change, succession, all those things are difficult from a practical and a psychological and emotional point of view. So we have today 3 amazing speakers with great experience and great wisdom to talk to us about their own journey of change and succession and transition. So I'll hand over to Chris, our chairman, to guide us through the day.
Thank you very much, Andrea. A very, very warm welcome to everybody, and a very, very great thanks to Salamatu and Angela and Mahali, who are our speakers today. We are going to invite each speaker to speak for approximately 10 minutes, and then we'll have an open discussion. And then Andrea and Mel will be finishing off the session in an hour's time. Salamatu Garba, would you be willing to take the floor, please? And we'll ask Florian to upload your presentation, which you sent us. Thank you for doing that. And just to let everybody know that we are recording this session. Any problems with that, do please let us know. If you can upload, please, Florian. Thank you. And over to you, Salamatu. I will give you a notification when you get to 5 minutes, and then you have another 5 minutes after that. So you have 10 minutes in all. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Salamatu Garba, like I've been introduced, the founder of Women Farmers Advancement Network in Nigeria. Next slide, please. Now, I want to tell a short story of the journey of WOFAN. This stands to be the logo, and a lot of people have asked me why a pregnant woman with load on her head. And it all started on how I stumbled into coming into development work. I never planned to be a social entrepreneur. But while being a lecturer in the university, I went to a community. On my way back, I met my fellow woman from northern Nigeria, pregnant in the late stages with load on her head and have trekked long distance. And after assisting her and joking with her, I asked her why she was doing this to herself. And she told me that the life of a woman is all about giving birth, getting pregnant, and being subservient to a man, that what else is the use of a woman? To me, I felt pained for hearing that. And coming from the same area from her, I knew I was more privileged than her. So I joked with her a little bit, assisted her, and now told her that anytime I passed through her location, I'll pass through to see her, and that me and her are going to definitely change the narrative of the northern women. And 3 weeks later, I went to the community and I was told she died at childbirth. So that was the beginning of my worry. And I didn't know what to do, but I kept on, it kept on reoccurring until British Council brought northern women that are educated together in the system. I brought about this story of the woman, how I'm pinched by it, and I got scholarship to even go and do gender and development. And this started the story of WOFAN. And this woman is there to keep reminding me of how I started WOFAN and what it has grown into, although I cannot find this woman. And that is what is making me still dedicated to community, because I'm looking for the end story of the rural woman in northern Nigeria. Next slide, please. We're going to jump by 2. Next slide. Next, please. So by the time I came back, I knew what development was. No, please, back. Thank you. By the time I realized what development work is, and telling the story and how difficult it is to change the ideas of the northern man in Nigeria, I started by talking to anybody who wanted to listen to me. And that is the first picture you see there with my journey. In most cases, it will be children. In most cases, I was laughed out, but I never gave up. I continued this discussion with them. Gradually, it continued to increase. Today, it is a celebrated association, like we all know. We talk to all kinds of people, and the story of the woman has changed because we've gone into so many ways of empowering the rural women, like you can see here. Next slide, please. Now, part of the outcome of my journey is that this same rural woman can speak for herself in a different way, because now they can even record what affects them and send out for an action. Today, they use technology for agriculture. Today, the women and young girls can speak out to say exactly what they want. So it's like an outcome of this. Next slide, please. So WOFAN has grown to going through every step of the value chain. Today, this story I'm telling you, we have like the rice value chain in the market. With the rural women, we have bagged rice, we market through the country, and we have grown from just 28 to over 1,400,000 of 45,000 groups in Nigeria. So this is one of our enterprise center and what it looks like on daily basis. Next stage, please. Next slide. And of course, this is where we are operating from. This is now what has transformed from an officeless space to a well-established organization. Next. Now, I'm going to now start talking about my idea and what I really want to do. For 28 years, I've been doing this, and it kept on growing, and the love between the trust established between the rural communities and ourselves keeps growing. The same men we were running after that I was begging are the same men knocking at the doors of WOFAN, traditional leaders, policy makers, everybody wanted to be part of this. But 28 years, I've started thinking of how I will now step down and bring the next generation of people to come into addressing this. And my big question is, how do we go about this idea not vanishing? Who is there to support all of these ideas? And what I wish for is, please, the next. So my 4 questions, what, who, where, when, and how, is what has been on my mind. And I was very happy to find myself in this setup. Next, please. If we can make it a bit faster. So for my transition, my wish, like I've put there, is to hand over to those people that have spent 12 years and above in WOFAN, that have religiously followed the course. They understand the narrative. They are part and parcel of forming some of the policies, and we can move along. As I'm stepping down, they are now moving forward. I'll be reducing my steps and they will be quickening their own step. This is my own idea and this is what I know. I want it to now move to a next level, that I am becoming a grandmother while the young ones are now going about the steps with the activities. Next, please. And my plan is for next 5 years. It's next 5 years because even with Ashoka, I'm developing a 5-year plan. And the idea is to transit from 1,500,000 people I have now to 23 million in Nigeria, which is just about 1%. I mean 10%, because we're about 200 plus million. So in the next 5 years, we want to scale up to that level. And during these 5 years, I want to work with this set of people I'm talking about. So as I'm reducing my participation from 80% to 60% to 40 to 20, 10, and then I back out, I would have given them enough support and they would have been at the front line with the community members as we're taking this journey together. And the 3 principal areas I'm looking at to take over is the women-led empowerment section, which is the heartbeat of WOFAN. The next one is the youth-led innovation and technology. Now we even have solar-powered briquetting machines fabricated by our youth and so on. So one of them should lead that area. The next person, of course, is the admin credit and training officer that has been with us for the past 12 years. It means that these principal areas that I coordinate will come to the limelight so they can work together. And as I exit the stage, they are taking the center stage for these principal areas. Next slide, please.
You have about 4 minutes left, Salamatu.
So in my 4 minutes, I am worried. With this picture you have seen, it's just a signal of what happens in the community. It touches my heart. The way I'm being received, the way I'm being celebrated by the women. My concern is, it's not about me exiting. Next slide, next animation, please. It's about, yes, like I put here, what does my exit mean doesn't really matter to me. Like, what does my exit mean to the women and the community? How are they accepting my exit? Look at my entrance to a community, and that is the thing that happens every day. Then what does my exit mean to my staff? For the women, I believe that as I reduce and I push forward the younger ones, they get more acquainted with them. And then which organization is there to back this team that are coming up, so that finally I remain on the board of WOFAN. The constitution of WOFAN has said I can remain a life board member of the association, but I will quit active service, that I will continue to give my support while they continue to handle this. I believe they can do it because the success of WOFAN is not just mine. Without them, we wouldn't have reached where we are. So they just need a little push, which I can't do alone. And I need the whole lot of everybody here to share ideas with me, wherever it can be. Let us put our heads together so that this dream does not die. Thank you very much. Together, all of us can make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Salamatu.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You timed it within seconds. Fantastic. And really good, really good. And you have issued a very clear challenge to all of the people on the call to put their heads together with you to do some more thinking. So that's absolutely great. Thank you for that. And now please take a rest while we listen to the other speakers. So
thank you, sir.
Angela, most welcome. Do please give us your presentation, and Florian will upload it for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Florian. And thank you, Angela. You're welcome. Lovely
Thank
to
you.
have you with us.
Hello, everyone. Good
Hi.
afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Thanks for inviting me for this amazing group, the Elders Council for Social Entrepreneur. Next, I am Angela Benson, as you've seen. Next slide. And I'm really encouraged because I'm in the health sector and there are a lot of challenges in the health sector. I'm a child public health physician of about 30 years experience. I've worked in the World Health Organization, WHO, in several countries, first as epidemiologist and then as the WHO representatives, and lastly as the regional advisor on emergency and humanitarian action. I co-founded the Benson Hospital in Monrovia, Liberia, and that's along with my husband, who is also a physician. And also, I co-founded it with Global Health Innovations and Action Foundation, which looks at health of women across sub-Saharan Africa. Next slide. So when I was at WHO, I was providing technical support for the polio eradication activities. As you know, polio is almost gone from the globe, and the work of WHO, UNICEF, as well as the Rotarians have helped our work to reduce polio globally. I work on optimizing polio eradication for routine immunization, how that can be used to strengthen the regular immunization among children under 5 in Ethiopia, Nigeria, and the sub-region, Lesotho, and the Congo. I also have to mobilize resources in the health sectors in countries where I have worked. As I said, in Ethiopia, Lesotho, and the Congo. We prepare we were prepared every year for those who are nearing retirement in WHO. They prepare you for that. So it was an interesting experience for me because we were made to have medical examinations. You go through writing your reports as well as handing over notes to your successor and planning what next. So after WHO, what next? And we do need a lot of planning so that people don't go into depression and don't know what to do. Next slide. So after WHO, then I joined my husband, Dr. Jimmy Benson, in his private practice in Monrovia, where we have a hospital that is comprehensively looking at the issues of our endemic diseases in Liberia. Next slide, please. We started just as a small clinic, as a felt need in the community where we live. People will come to you and ask, oh, I have fever, I have headache, please help me, doctor. How can I go about this? So with that, it was started in 1994, and we started treating our friends, our neighbors, and our families, and mostly on Liberian endemic diseases, which are malaria, the acute respiratory tract infection, diarrhea, and malnutrition. And again, we extended it into antenatal care, started doing normal delivery, cesarean section, and then it was helping other people just from what we were able to make as young doctors. We treated people from our own mega income, and we were able to have a few staff run the operations and able to help themselves, because we provided health education, health promotion, and what they could do to help themselves. Next slide, please. So with that, many patients were not able to pay, and because they were not able to pay, we have to manage that. That means that you have to help them, treat them free of charge. So we were treating like about 10% free of charge at Benson Hospital, but it grew and grew in 2002 to become a hospital. And with the hospital now, we have other services like X-ray, ultrasound, laboratory facility, and general operating room. And it was now a 60-bed hospital where patients can go and have a one-step treatment from malaria all the way to delivery, all the way to cesarean section. Therefore, we said, well, since we are able to do this, we need to go to scale. We see quite about 12,000 patients a year, and it's still increasing. And during the Ebola in 2014-15, we were able to help with health promotion, infection control, and prevention. Next slide, please. So just to give you some of the ideas of the services that we provided for things like treating pregnant women, taking their blood pressure, taking their vitals, setting them into the lab, also taking care of mothers and their children. And of course, those who are pregnant and have complications, we do have a facility for cesarean section and general operations. And that is my husband in the operating room facing the camera. Next slide, please.
About 4 minutes left, Angela.
So looking at transition, we have talked about it, we have discussed about it, and we said, yes, there is need to transition from what we are doing now. We've been doing it for almost 30 years, and we looked at it in a way that for the next 1.5 years, what could be done? First, we considered having our children come back and manage the hospital. And because of the war in Liberia, our children had to go outside the country for their university education when they were growing up. So one of them is went to medical school in the US, and one of them is a dentist, and the other is an internist. However, they are not too keen right now in coming to settle in Liberia. So secondly, we consider having younger generations, a younger set of doctors to come and help us run the hospital. And that means that we have to really come on and talk with them and see what can be done. My husband is emotionally attached to the hospital and not so willing to consider several options, because he is known all over the country. He has set a standard, qualification, and a name for Benson Hospital, which is like a brand name in the country. So next slide, please. So we thought of maybe we could sell the hospital and then that is now his own favorite legacy, his favorite idea, because he wants the legacy to continue and to be able to have the name Benson Hospital in whoever is buying it. So he felt that, well, he will not have a say into it. There will be a different management and a different board. The fourth option was to have a corporate institution and a company that could run the hospital, and the third that we could have like a 3-man team made of an office assistant and an accountant to be able to run the day-to-day operations of the hospital and then report to our children. So that is an idea that we are still considering and looking at it in very many ways as to how, when, how much can you give, when is it the right time to go? And we thought, my children thought, well, it's better to take you out and let you have a vacation so you can break free for a time out of Liberia and then come back and reconsider it. If you are taken out of the country for a while, go on a vacation and rethink on this corporate institution, running it, and how the team can better support Benson Hospital. At the same time, they can continue the work. So he's struggling with the idea and he's trying to see how best to do it. But we still have like about 18 months to consider that. So generally before that, definitely we think we'll come to a conclusion that is best suited so people can continue to enjoy the services at Benson Hospital. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angela,
Next
very
slide.
much. Thank
The
you.
next slide is just to say thank you.
There we are. That's great. Thank you, Florian. So absolutely incredible to see the dynamics there, major achievement, and of course, to understand the discussions ongoing between you, the family, and other members. So we now look forward to welcoming you, Mayor Mahali Hlasa. Thank you very much indeed for agreeing to come on to our webinar this afternoon. And what we would like you to do, Mahali, is to give some reflections on what you have heard so far. And then, of course, talk about your own thinking as you develop your own ideas for transition. Thank you, Mahali. Welcome. Mahali, you're on mute at the moment.
Okay, sorry. My name is Mahali Hlasa. I work for Riders for Health in Lesotho, and I started working for the Ministry of Health, and then I transitioned to Riders for Health. So it was very interesting to hear the wonderful work that has been done by Dr. Benson and Salamatu, and I think they've done a great job. But at the same time, I really understand, I think it has opened my eyes. I never really thought deeply about what happens when you need to transition. I've realized that it is very difficult, especially after doing a great job like what they've done in their countries. It can be very difficult to let go, especially when you know that you want to achieve your goals and you want the organization to continue the way you, in the direction you want to see it going as you leave. So I think it's a huge, huge challenge, but I think they've given us some insights into very important things on how to move forward without feeling like you're losing your baby or feeling like you're going to be out of touch. I think I can quote Salamatu when she says she has already started doing, engaging some people who are going to take over when they leave. But at the same time, I understand Dr. Benson's point when he says the husband is still attached to the hospital. It's not very easy, something that you have built from the start. You always think, are people going to have the same passion? Will they understand really what forced me to do this? And it will really hurt you to see it going down the train or going in a different direction from what you have you really wanted it to do. So it's really a big thing, and I think but I think I see people who are really prepared because they've started thinking about it now while they are still deeply involved, which I think is very helpful. So from my perspective, I think I've already transitioned once, but it wasn't difficult because I realized the challenge of founding something is really, it becomes like your baby. For me, my transition from the Ministry of Health to Riders for Health wasn't a big challenge because I think I was already working with Riders for Health even before I joined them. I was working with the Ministry of Health, but the work that we're doing was mainly supported by Riders for Health. So it was easy. It was like I was still working for the same organization. But now I'm thinking, I've learned so much over the years, and I know how the public health aspect links very well with the work that Riders for Health is doing. And I'm always thinking, are we going to really start thinking about how to bring more people to make this work better? How can I haven't really thought about what will happen to me when I finally leave, because sometimes you get carried away and you think you're going to be here forever. But we know that we have in our organizations people who are being trained daily to take some of the responsibilities at management or higher level. But the worry is still the same. Are they going to continue in the direction that the organization was intended for? Or is the input that they are going to bring into the organization going to help the organization grow better or achieve better, get better recognition? It's a very, very difficult situation and things to continue. So it's to consider. So I think we have brought a very challenging topic today, but at the same time, I think it is saying to us now, we really know that when the time comes, you have to leave. So how do we do that in a way that it doesn't affect us? I think it is a challenge which none of us, I think, can really give a straight answer. How do you transition in a way that it doesn't hurt you, but you still have to maintain contact with the organization which you founded and which you supported so much from the beginning? I think I've looked at the option, one of the options Salamatu gave. She said she could be serving on the board. For me, which I think that would be an excellent opportunity for you to, if you are on the board, to oversee the operations and on what you started, and also to be able to give the expertise and also the experience you have learned over the years, and also to be able to advise and mentor the people who are coming in or who you expect to carry forward the work that you started. It's like cutting the cord completely if you turn your back away, but at least I think it gives you some comfort if you have at least some relationship and you can be able to, without really interfering or without actively being involved in the activities, but just so that you are still involved and you can be able to follow. So it's a very difficult and I think delicate balance which we really need to. And I understand exactly where Dr. Benson's husband is coming from. I think it's very difficult. So I think from my perspective, I think it would be very helpful if all of us could start thinking. I'm already thinking about it, but to be honest, I don't have a plan. I don't know what I will do. I'm a public health professional. I've always wanted to help the communities. I know what needs to be done to do certain things. I want to be able to be there for people, but it won't always be the same. There are a lot of people who know much more than I do, who have better skills. I can come with old ideas now. I know there are younger generations who have more, who know more things and newer technology than me. But those people cannot, each one of us has their own knowledge, which if we work together, could be able to come up with something better than if one of us stands in one corner and thinks, I'm bringing new ideas, but together we can be able to share the experiences we have. But how do we bring that balance? How do we make that work so that we are not seen as, we are almost exiting, we are old with you know, our brain, the brain is still very fresh. The brain is still very good. You can bring good ideas, but how do you make younger people understand, and the people you are handing over to understand that it is only your age, your brain, you still have that experience, you still have something to give. So that's very difficult, but I think this forum will help us to really think about, because where I'm sitting now, I'm struggling to think how can we strike this balance and make it work. It's a bit challenging, but I'm happy that I'm part of this forum and I can start thinking about how to move forward without feeling bad or feeling guilty that I didn't do enough. If something collapses after I leave, what could I have done better? You know, how do I keep in touch? I think that's what I have to contribute.
Thank you, Mahali. Thank you very much. And do you want to just give us 1 or 2 minutes on your own work right now, just so that people understand what you're doing right now?
Yes, right now we are supporting the Ministry of Health, actually the health sector in general, in trying to make sure that the health services get to the people. We are working in Lesotho, where we have a very difficult mountainous terrain, and people are scattered all over, mainly in the rural areas, where there are basically no roads or very difficult to reach. So it's very difficult, and mainly the people who are in the rural areas and the hard to reach areas are very few in numbers. But you know, we have to help the ministry and the other partners to make sure that all the services get to the people. We are linking the health centers with the hospitals so that the people in the rural areas can access laboratory services. So we transport the samples, medical samples, and other emergency medical commodities. But at the same time, we provide transport for the outreach health teams so that they could conduct their community outreach services. But we also maintain and manage all the donated fleet of vehicles and motorbikes for the Ministry of Health, so that they can be able to take the services to the people and have a service that is reliable, to make sure that they don't break all the time. When people are expecting us, we really show up in the communities. So we are partnering with a lot of other organizations now to try and venture into vaccine delivery, medicines delivery, because now with COVID and lockdowns, people now have to get their supplies, their like 6 months or 3 months supplies. So we are partnering with other organizations to make sure that we can be able to meet the communities halfway. So that's what we're doing. And we are based where I'm sitting now, it is at the Ministry of Health headquarters. We are a partner that is working with the Ministry of Health, but we are working directly from the Ministry of Health, because this is where the planning is done for all public health interventions. So basically we support community engagement activities.
Thank you very much. And whenever you need to speak to the minister, you just have to go down the corridor. Couldn't be easier. So yes, that is good. It means that you have that influence, which many of us don't have. So anyway, thank you so much for your commentary. And so now we have an opportunity for everybody to give their contribution. We have heard from Salamatu and the way in which she is concerned about making sure that she is sensitive to the feelings of others as she plans her departure. We've seen the different options that Angela has talked about, and Mahali has reflected on these and also has said something which is in common with many of us, that she has yet to form a plan. And so that is also very typical of the situation that we find ourselves at the Elders. Who would like to make a contribution now? Who would like to come in? And I'm going to ask Mel and Andrea to keep an eye in case somebody is wants to make a remark and I don't notice. Who would like to come in and make a few remarks? This is your time to make a contribution, either to reflect on the thoughts that we have heard so far, and or to make your own contribution. May I invite Joseph? Would you like to just make a few remarks? Konkanko, would you mind coming in and just making a few remarks to begin with? on what you have heard. Welcome.
Yeah, I really want to thank Angela and Salamatu from the bottom of my heart, because this is the time for the international community to realize that the development of Africa, it depends on the woman. Tears were almost running down my cheeks when I see this happening, compared to the governments who receive a lot of money from the international community and manages the wealth of the continent. But sadly enough, from the picture that we saw, that story hasn't changed. And I think this I was just wondering how these presentations should be watched in Africa, and watched especially by the young girls who think that there is no future for Africa, they must die on the high seas. So I was thinking that maybe this is a forum also to not only listen to this and work on it, but also to find a way that this information can go far and wide in Africa.
I think that's a very good point. As the Elders Council for Social Entrepreneurs, we are ambitious, but we hadn't thought of that level of ambition. But it's a nice idea, and thank you for that. Robin, I think you wanted to come in. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank you for my possibly accidental arrival in this forum. But also really grateful to hear from these amazing women, their story. And just in terms of the transition process, I think if there was one thing that I've, from watching various transition processes happen, if there was really one thing that needs attention, it is actually the interior of oneself as a founder, or as founders, if you are a couple who founded something. Because I think that what is really hard is that we set in one, let me not say one sets into the transition process with such really great intent around handing over an organization that's evolved and that's grown through what is technically always a start, well, often a startup. When it's founded by oneself, it's sort of grown through that phase. And the difficulties hit a little bit later on. And it's sometimes because the interior work of disentangling oneself from the project and from the creation that one has made becomes really hard as one goes along. And so almost before and certainly while one is transitioning, to make sufficient time to think, to reflect, to maybe have coaching, to create thinking partnerships, to journal through one's own process, and to grieve, because it's actually a process of letting go of something that has been very informative of oneself, and is an expression of oneself. And it is a hard process. Yeah, so.
Thank you for those thoughts, Robin. Very helpful. And I don't think there's anything accidental about your arrival. Thank you.
Chris, can I talk?
Of course, just 1 minute, Timothy. But of course you can talk. Just to let everybody know, I'm just about to put onto the chat the Elders Council link, the ID, because I want you to, after you finish this session, if everybody could go and sign up and join, that would be helpful. Those of you who are under 55 are very welcome. There's a special place for you in that. And over 55, of course, also. So I put that there so you've got the domain. Now, Timothy, do come in.
Yes, thank you, Chris. And also thank you, Robin, for your sharing. Also for the two great ladies who share how they gone through and prepare for the transition. To me, I agree that, and also have the same feeling that the internal wellness and also the preparation heading to the transition is very important. Particularly, as said, if you are the founder, and then you have a lot of so-called attachment, no matter emotionally, physically, and also financially attachment to the organization, to the ministry that you build. And it's really difficult and challenging to not say to give up, but to gradually hands off from what you have been doing every day. So it takes time for the adjustment. It takes time for the preparation. And to me, for any transition, and the preparation should start at least 2 to 3 years ahead, because you need to recruit right person to take up. You need to train the people that can take up your challenges, and also to pass your legacy to the next generation. And lastly, I will suggest that even you step down, you are not 100% really step down, because I think you can still serve as a volunteer at the organization, not to give the pressure to the new successor, but to give the backup and support to the new successor. Yeah, I hope that this can be a reference to all people who are now facing transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Aleta, you had a question you wanted to ask, it was a question and a suggestion at the same time.
No, it was a question. Thank you so much, Chris. First of all, thank you to our amazing speakers. I'm just so grateful for your stories and amazed that you were able to tell such rich stories in only 10 minutes. That in and of itself is amazing. I'd love to hear, I've also started my organization 26 years ago and have made some attempts at succession that have not been particularly successful. And one of the things I realize is, because, you know, the expression you're building the plane and flying it at the same time, that's very familiar. But there's another piece that until recently was not part of my work, which is, I guess you could say, creating the blueprint for the plane that you're creating and flying at the same time, is codifying the work. And I'm curious to hear from our speakers how and if that's part of what you're doing, so that not only the people with whom you have spent years and decades, that they can take over the work, but what about someone, 20 years from now who comes along who you're not necessarily going to meet? Is there a book, a website, a body of work, some sort of encapsulation that you feel accurately and with integrity captures your work? That's the work that I'm, I guess, joyfully struggling with right now.
Thank you. Salamatu, did you want to comment on that, or you, Angela? The idea of codifying it. Salamatu, why don't you come in?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for your comments and patience in listening to our story. Yes, in terms of that, we have a website where we jot some of these things. If you go to our website, you'll find out that it's even a little bit congested. We're not even passing most of the things there, but it gives an idea and it tells a trail of stories of most of the activities that has taken place. So maybe we could develop a stage. For instance, what we call the community women curriculum is something that we can build on. Another thing is that UNDP and USAID. For UNDP, I'm already replicating in 4 states using the same strategy. Why did it work? So we're able to do it in other LGAs that the states that they are working. So we can put together what worked well, what didn't work well, and then how we can develop something that people can learn from. We receive a lot of interns from the university. They understudy what we are doing, and they go back and report and do their research on it. but I don't have a direct way. That's the truth. It's divided in.
I think we may have lost you, Salamatu. Are you still there? Angela, why don't you come in while we are waiting to see you?
Okay,
This is
thank you.
this relates
While
to
we are waiting for Salamatu to come back, I'd just like to add to what she has said that yes, we do have a website, but the website, I must say, needs to be upgraded and needs to be better developed, and that we were very challenged in terms of IT, technology, and connectivity issues in Liberia. However, we can improve on it and people can learn from it, especially the process of growth, right? Starting from scratch with just young doctors with nothing but the passion to help people and to try as much as possible to reduce morbidity and mortality in our community, and how it has scaled up to be one of the national best hospitals in Liberia. So we need to put that up more so other people can learn from it and develop themselves also. Also, the idea that younger generations will come, they can have better innovations than we have. They can even, I think there was a question about what about the people who will come after us? Yes, it's good that the people who come after us can have innovations and better improvements than what we did. But we hope that whatever is there, we have continuity and sustainability. And he just wanted the name Benson Hospital to continue for the legacy. But in terms of improvement, in terms of innovations, yes, there's always room for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. And Salamatu, thank you very much for the comments that you made before your audio went down. We have one last question, and then I'm going to hand over to Andrea and then to Mel. We had a question from Diva, who wanted to ask you, Mahali. She wanted to ask you, this is a question about immunization. This is about her own concern for what is happening in your country. She says, I'd like to know about immunization in Lesotho. Can you just give a quick answer, Mahali, to that one?
Yes, I think immunization in this country is going on well. I think our coverage is on the high. It's working very well. So it's only in the hard to reach areas where the people have to be vaccinated at outreach services, so people can go to a nearest place. But so far, it's not really very bad. Now with COVID-19, the rollout is a bit slow because I think it took us a long time to come up with a plan. So, and also the number of vaccines we have in the country currently, we haven't covered a lot of population, but most elders, all the health workers and most elders are already vaccinated now. So the rollout is good. It might have been a bit slow, but in terms of child immunizations, I think it's getting there.
Great, thank you. Elena, I'm just going to ask you to come in very quickly to give a very quick point of view as to what it's like to be the successor, because I wanted Salamatu and also Angela and Mahali to hear you just speak about what it's like to come in after someone else has been at the steering wheel, at the helm for such a long time. So Elena, welcome, and do just mention very quickly that you are the chief executive of whatever you are, and so on. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Andrea. And wonderful to be with you again and to talk about this amazing topic. I'm very passionate. And of course, I see and I listen to Angela, to Salamatu, and to Mahali from, of course, the successor perspective. So this is so interesting, and thank you so much for being so brave in that journey. I want to react actually to one comment in particular, which is the codify the work, the Alita's point. I found that very interesting, because actually this is exactly what me and Molly, so I succeeded Molly Melchin, the founder of Tostan 4 years ago. So I'm today the CEO. So we have done a lot of working about codifying that work, and that the work that has been done, or the founder, and the knowledge. So I think there is so much to do around knowledge management to make sure that what the founder leaves behind is really whatever is needed for the team to take the work forward. And, you know, knowledge management is always what we don't, you know, we don't focus on that because we are busy doing and we are not busy documenting. And so that, I think, has been so much of a focus of both of us to make sure that we bring the organization forward. And then there is that cultural aspect, the DNA, how to codify that. That is a challenge. I'm taking it from a perspective of making sure that policies and procedures are honoring the legacy, are bringing continuity, as well as bringing a fresh perspective into the work, because I think it's important that every new leader, it's not about the successor, but any new leader that will come after the founder will of course bring a fresh perspective. But I think there is something that needs to stick, and that is really the values and that particular legacy, really. And I think the heritage, you know, I think there were a couple of words that Lalita was using, and I thought that were powerful. And that is, to me, about system processing and procedures. And I think it's so important to stick those in, to even bring them, you know, and have that codification work really settled in. To me, that has been important. And I think it was important for Molly. It is important for Molly. And this is a way of bringing strong foundation for both of us and for the organization, of course, to move forward. So that is my 2 cents. Thank you so much for.
Thank you very much indeed. Andrea, thank you very much indeed, Elena.
Yes, I know I have to be quick now because Mel needs to do the wrap up, but we just wanted to tell you about something that the Elders Council want to offer to everyone is our soul sessions, that where just a very few of us, maybe 2 on the next session, it'll be me and Molly Melching, just to have 3 or 4 of you to join us on what we're calling a soul session, because we know that apart from the practical issues, and of course I'm really loving the idea of the codifying and how the Elders Council can help work with the broad codifying of transition and succession. But we would love people, 2 or 3 people, to be in touch with us to say that they have painful issues to discuss or challenging issues that they'd just like to talk through about their place in their social enterprise and where they are at the moment, particularly around succession and transition. So if you're interested in doing that, and Chris, remind me of the date of our soul session, please.
I will, but let's get Mel doing the summary, and I'll do that reminder in a second.
Thank you. But email us at the Elders Council. You'll find us on the website, or email me directly, andrea@elderscouncil.net. And please join us at the next one. And Chris will give you the date in one moment.
July 19 is
email.
Yeah, July 19 is the next soul session.
July the 19th. So please join us or talk about joining us if it would be helpful to you.
Thank you. So that is webinars and soul sessions. We are beginning to increase the fertility of this Elders Council. Mel, over to you to finish off.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Andrea. It's been another great session. Time flies by, and such rich insights. I'd like to thank our 3 speakers for not only their insights, which have been fantastic, but also just being so honest and open, because I think that this openness in these sessions really helps us all, because we're all facing these different challenges. Salamatu, I thought was great in terms of what her plan was to do, and I love the expression that she was starting to take smaller steps and encouraging her younger people to take bigger steps out. She took smaller steps and reducing the percentages in terms of that transition. And then Angela as well, talking about the 4 potential options she had and the difficulties that we all have in terms of moving on. And then finally, Mahali talked about, you know, you have to not hurt yourself in the process of leaving, but at the same time not hurt the organization. And then we had obviously some great comments from all of you in the chat and your contributions, which really in summation comes down to, we still have a lot to do in terms of talking to one another about this whole issue of succession for social entrepreneurs. There's so much wisdom we have individually, and sharing it really helps. But getting onto this kind of codification and understanding about how we move on, what we're leaving behind, and again, how we're looking after ourselves at the same time as looking after the organization. I think as social entrepreneurs, because we're so passionate about changing the world, that we don't think we're ever going to pass away. You know, we're going to be around forever. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And so therefore, how do we protect what we passionately believe in, the values that we believe in, the way we want to change the world? How do we leave that in the organization? And I think sharing our wisdom, sharing our experience is very important. And possibly in terms of this codification through the Elders Council, building up something like a wisdom bank or something like that, that other people can apply to. And we can tell the story about, yeah, how we were successful, but also the mistakes we made, the challenges we had, the learnings that other people coming on behind us can follow. And I think that's one of the key things that's starting to emerge out of these sessions. We're all talking about the same story, really, how difficult it is for us individually just to leave, when's the right time, and how our organizations are preserved and continue to be impactful and grow after we finish. So as Andrea said, we're going to have these soul sessions, which are going to be more intimate, even more intimate, and we'll be having more webinars, but we'll have a lot more to do, I think. And I'd like to thank again the 3 speakers, because your insights, as I said earlier, have just been absolutely fantastic, and filled with passion, inspiration, and also that complete honesty, which is of course a hallmark of social entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurship. Thank you all for joining. Thank you to people who shared their views. These have been so useful. We probably could have been here all night talking away about these issues. But our next webinar will be along, soul sessions will be coming along, and we'll do something like wisdom banks or codification globally or something like that to help us, not only with ourselves in our transition, but others who are coming behind us. Thanks again to everybody, and thanks also to Ashoka and Florian in particular who helped us put this event on. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Mel. Florian, thank you for your support, and thank you to the
you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Next time.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Salamat.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll make sure you get the recording.